When thinking about coffee in Portugal, look no further than Delta Coffees. Delta is one of Portugal's most recognized and most loved brands. Today, I'm joined by Rui Miguel Nabeiro, CEO of Delta Coffees. Welcome to another episode of Portugal, The Simple Life. I'm delighted to be joined by Rui Miguel Nabeiro. He's the CEO of Delta. Rui, bem-vindo, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's my pleasure to be here and talk to you a little bit.
Wonderful. Rui, we have this beautiful culture of coffee here in Portugal. So let's imagine that we are strangers in a cafe. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a 41 years old guy who's lived my life around coffee because my family works and lives and breathes coffee. I graduated here in Lisbon, graduated in management. I'm married and I have 3 kids, one with 13, the other one with 9 years old, and the smaller one, a girl with 3 years old. So I work in my family business, which is coffee. Since I graduated, I was just some time away from the business. I was working in Spain, also in the coffee business, but not the roasting, the green coffee business. I was buying and selling in order to understand a little bit more about the coffee. I went with these guys on a purchase trip into Vietnam, doing the purchase, so I could understand a little bit more about the coffee business. And then I was in Italy, understanding also in a company called Brazil. It doesn't exist anymore, which is a shame, but it was a coffee machine company. And then I came back and I went to work in Campo Mayor, which is our small town back in the countryside, right on the border with Spain. We're close to Badajoz, which is the big reference over there. And it's called Campo Mayor, which is a very small town with 10,000 inhabitants, so really, really small. So I was actually born in Lisbon. Okay, even though my family is from around there, even my dad and my mom both are from there, but they came to live in Lisbon and I was born here. Okay, and so I lived all my life in Lisbon, even though on holidays I always went back there to the countryside and spent a lot of times near the factory and where my family and the business actually was. So our life and the business are all mixed up. Okay, it's really a family business. So then when I started working, I was working over there for 2 years, which was not easy because if you're a city guy and you go and start your official career in the family business in 10,000 inhabitants, where you usually live in a 2.5 million people town, it's shocking.
Change.
So then I got the chance to come back to Lisbon 2 years after, and manage the sales reps here in Lisbon. So I had a big part of my career in Campo Mayor, but the biggest one is here in Lisbon.
So, I mean, which place would you consider your terra? If someone said to you, "What's your terra? What's your home village or your hometown?" Which would it be for you?
Well, when you ask the question, it's always Campo Mayor because I mean my kids are now over there and they're doing what I did, which is actually when you're on holidays, I'll go there. So I would pass there for two months, 2 complete months over there. So I really feel for the place. It's really a special place. It's my hometown, even though I was born here in Lisbon.
Amazing. We had a previous guest on a podcast, is a winemaker in the Alentejo. He's from Montfort.
Really close.
Is it close to you?
Really close, yeah.
Okay. So he also he was also born in Lisbon, but when you ask him where's his home, and he says, "Oh no, it's the Alentejo for sure." It's a special place, isn't it?
It is. It is. It really is, because it's so peaceful. Yeah, because it's a place where you can lose sight, because Alentejo it's really plain, so we don't have a lot of mountains, so you can see kilometers and kilometers away. It gives you peace. You don't see a lot of crowded areas, so it's like our hometown, 10,000 people. It's small, so it's a family. Campo Mayor, you feel like a family because you know everybody, and if you don't know, you just ask him, "Who's your dad?" So, and then you know who he is. Okay. So you always, if you don't know the guy, you just say, "Who's your dad?" So you understand which part of big family he's from. So you know everybody. You have this sense of big family. Yeah. So it's quite different, yeah, and it gives you peace of mind, peace of everything. It's really nice.
Well, when I first came to Portugal 10 years ago, I started to learn that every village is famous for something in Portugal. We have a little village near to our offices called Alfezarão, for example. It's famous for pão de ló de Alfezarão. It's a spongy cake with a gooey liquid center. But tell us a little bit about Campo Maior and what it's famous for and well known for in Portugal.
Well, if you want to talk about food, there's a special plate done in Campo Maior. Okay. That people come from Spain just to eat it. It's called bacalhau dourado, which is cod fish, yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's done just the cod, some potato chips, small potato chips, and eggs, and all scrambled and mixed. And it's dorado, mean it's golden. Okay, so it's a golden codfish. So because of the eggs and the chips, it becomes yellow, golden by the way it's cooked, and it's perfect. I mean, when we are over there, we check the level of bacalhau dourado. If you're eating a lot or if you're missing some bacalhau dourado, because every week you need to eat that. It's a perfect plate, and Spanish are coming to the restaurants in Campo Maior just to eat that. Okay.
Well, to be fair, Rui, our food is much better in Portugal than in Spain, so I don't, they've got to come across to eat.
Oh yeah, they come a lot into Campo Maior and Elvas, because also the biggest town close to Campo Maior in Portuguese side, not the biggest town because it's Badajoz. Elvas also does the bacalhau dourado, so they come only there. Campo Maior and Elvas, you can eat there. Any place else you don't get that. But Campo Maior is also well known for some. It's a big event, and everybody in Portugal knows that. It's called Festa das Flores. Okay, what is it? It's a huge party because all the town becomes covered in flowers. It's paper flowers. It's done by the villagers, the people who live there. During 6 months, they take 6 months of their lives every evening doing it because they're not paid for it. Okay, so it's a volunteer thing. You just like it. This is the reason why it only happens every 4 years, because it takes a lot of time from the people. And I think that the beauty of this, it's being a spontaneous party. If people want it to happen, it happens. So it's not an economically driven party that you have to do it every year. When people feels like, they do it. So usually it's every 4 years. It would have been this year, but it's not going to happen because we know why. We know why.
We're not going to say the same word. No. We're going to try to avoid that word completely. Yeah.
So and it's fantastic. The last time, it was 4 years ago. We got over there more than 1.5 million people during a week. Wow. So it's crazy. Everybody from all over the country comes by because it's really beautiful what the people does. Because you look at the flowers and you really see a flower. It's perfect. It's perfect. The bad thing is that even though it's in August, it always rains one day. and it ruins everything. So I don't know why it never rains there, but when there's
On the festa, on the festa.
there's always one day that's going to rain.
Ah.
So people are ready to do that, to protect the flowers and everything. So it's a fantastic party, and it's really well known for the Festa das Flores, Campo Maior. It's amazing.
How long does the festa last? A week?
It's 1 week. It takes
Okay.
1 week. It usually goes from the last weekend in August to the first weekend in September. Always like that. Okay.
So it must be amazing, because they take 6 months to prepare for this, and then it's over in a week.
Every we call it serão. It's the evening. The people doing like this all the time, making the flowers. It's amazing what the people do. It's fantastic. And they do it volunteer completely. And every street has its theme. Okay, so people organize. I'm on the street, so all the street I get together with my neighbors. I decide what the theme for our street's gonna be. They design the layout and they do it, and it's a secret until the last minute. So nobody knows what's the other street's gonna do. So it's really also a kind of competition. Who's going to have the most beautiful street? That's why it's so fantastic, and people live to that. So then, when you walk around, people are outside. They give you food, they give you drink. You can sit down with them and have a chat and being with the. I mean, you're just crossing around their doors and they're offering you whatever. It's so nice. It's a completely crazy week.
Wonderful. It sounds amazing. I have to come. I have to come with my family and
you
experience it.
You should. As long as we have the next one, which hopefully will be next year in 2021.
Well, we know in Portugal there will always be time for a festa, so it'll happen at some stage.
We need that.
You mentioned as well in our previous conversations, Campo Maior is also famous because of coffee, which was helpful for your career path. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, Campo Maior, it really is a cluster for the coffee business. And I think it all happened during the Civil War in Spain, where a lot of products were missing. So the borders were closed. We're talking about the 50s. And you go across the border in Portugal, you check on clusters of kinds of products. And Campo Maior, I don't know what's the reason. It happened to be a cluster for coffee, to roast coffee, and then there were people who did the contraband into Spain, and they went to Spain to sell the product and came back. And
coffee from there into Spain.
Yes, that's what happened at the time.
Yeah.
So there was this cluster of coffee in Campo Maior. So, and my grandfather family roasted coffee at the time, and they created a company actually after that period called the Cafés Camelo, which is really a well-known brand in Spain. And then my grandfather decided, well, I'm gonna create my own business here without the rest of the family, but I'm gonna sell in Portugal. So he created actually Delta.
Amazing.
And he started selling in Portugal. So what he did, he was roasting Delta during the night and worked with the family during the day in Cafés Camelo. So actually afterwards Delta became a bigger company than Camelo, and Camelo belongs to our family group. So it's been a road to build a big coffee company in Portugal, and of course my grandfather had a very important role in that. He's our founder. He still is working with us every day. He gets up, he goes to the factory, he wants to check everything. So it's really amazing. And still in Campo Maior there are more than ours coffee companies still today. So it really is a coffee cluster industry over there. Not to smuggle anymore, so because we're in the European Union, but with an interesting business and an interesting cluster over there.
And in terms of I mean, what makes it so interesting for coffee? Is it because of the history, or is it a good place to grow the beans, or to do any
No,
of that?
actually, we don't grow the beans. Yeah,
Yeah.
we buy the beans mostly from Brazil and
Okay.
Central America, and we just roast it. We cook it. Yeah, and then we grind it if we have to grind it. We put it in capsules. We have to put it in capsules, and we just do the distribution channel. So we do the industrial part of the coffee, yeah, the roasting and the distribution. But Campo Mayor, I think that the main reason it's this. It's a business that grew from the fact that we were close to the border and there was missing a lot of food products in Spain, and it happened like that. Of course, that today you say you get the coffee in boats from Lisbon, because it's actually where the port is. You go back into Campo Mayor, you roast it, and then you come back to Lisbon to do the sale, because you need the big areas to do the sales. You cannot live just selling in Campo Mayor. And but this is if our point of view is to sell just in Portugal. But if we think that the Iberian Peninsula is our market, which actually is, we're more close to the middle of the Iberian Peninsula, being right on the border. So it's a geo position interesting for doing our business. So we never thought about taking the factory out and coming back to the city to cut costs, even though, because that's not our vision of the business. I mean, we're really committed to our local people. We're really committed to Campo Mayor. I mean, we're the biggest employer in Campo Mayor. If Delta decided to go out, 60% of our workforce in Campo Mayor works for us. So it would have a tremendous impact, which we never thought about it. We're really happy with the fact that we're there and still growing with the business.
I think there's a beautiful part of Portuguese culture, which is I have a responsibility to my neighbor. I have a responsibility to my community on a small level, but also on a larger level, like Delta. It's something that I've noticed since being here, but it's part of our culture here that we look after each other.
Oh, definitely. I think that that's why also the Portuguese are special on this side, yeah, because we really need each other, and we understand that we need the community to do our job. And I think that from the starting point, also my grandfather always had this perspective. So if you ask me what makes Delta different from other coffees, I can say, well, we have an excellent blend. The quality is perfect. I mean, we do blending of good origins from good places. We're expert in roasting it for 20 minutes at a lower temperature. So it's our kind of roasting. So we don't do 10 minutes high temperature. So I could say all of that. Mm-hmm. But I think that the main point that distinguishes us is the fact that as a company, we look at the community side. Okay, so our customers are part of the family, and I mean, if I tell you that when I was a kid and then went to the weekends to Campo Mayor, because beside holidays, almost every weekend I was going there, we always have what we call the convivios. Okay, what is convivios? It's a get together. So we gathered 400 people over there in a place near where's the factory now, and have all the weekend with these people who are the families of our customers, our Oreca customers, which is hotels, restaurants, and cafes, which is our segment, most important segment, because in Portugal, most of the coffee is consumed out of home. So you get all these small companies, because mostly are small entrepreneurs who created their cafeteria, their restaurant. So they all come by. I mean, we get, okay, this time is Lisbon. So every 400 people from Lisbon comes by to Campo Mayor, know the village, know the factory. get together with the families. So I know most of our customers because of that. I know them personally, you know, there's a personal connection with them. So it's this proximity that makes it special, yeah, with our customers and with our staff. So I mean, how could I close a factory in Campo Mayor and look at the people who I know? And I told to you before, they're family. Yeah, Campo Mayor, it's a family. So I mean, it's not just numbers. It's impossible to be. And for us as a company, this is really, really important. We're a family-owned business. I mean, we don't need to be the most profitable coffee business. We just need to be happy to have, of course, a company that lives on and has a prospect for the future, which is really important to have vision to. I mean, all those kind of entrepreneurial things, that we being very professional in the way we do it, and the way we engage our customers, we understand their needs, and of course, all of that we need to do. But this part of being a community is so important, and this is our value. So we always look at it when we go abroad also, and try to take it with us.
Yeah, I mean, our coffee culture in South Africa is quite different. Where I'm originally from, and you have coffee at your desk when you work. It's not something that's an event. It's not something that you leave your desk to go and do, and that you take 15 minutes or 20 minutes to go and do. And it's something that I had to learn here in Portugal, that you take time to go have your coffee. You see you drinking a coffee right now. But one of the things that I learned very quickly when I arrived here was, if you're going to drink a coffee in Portugal, you have to drink Delta. And there's this, it's one of the most well-known brands in Portugal. When you think of the top brands, in terms of brand recognition in Portugal, Delta is one of the ones, you know. And I still remember driving with friends, or even with my family, in some random locations in the middle of nowhere in Portugal, and we're looking for that triangle, you know,
yeah, that one.
Yeah. The Delta triangle saved our lives many times.
Yeah.
Why is this such I mean, it's not just about the quality, like you said, it's not just about the quality. It's not just the fact that your coffee is the best coffee, but why is this such a loved brand in Portugal?
Well, I'm going to give you my opinion.
Yes, okay. That's right.
Based on all the studies that we've done. I think that, as I told you before, the fact that we have a good quality product is really important. So it's unquestionable that the coffee, you can feel the taste and understand it's good. I mean, and we are not just a Portuguese brand anymore. We have a very good market share in Spain. We're in France. We're in Luxembourg. We're in Switzerland. We're in the UK. I mean, we distribute in a lot of countries, mostly in Europe, and we're also in Brazil and Angola. But and we don't have a rejection on our product. I would say maybe you go to a new country and they say, well, this coffee is not adapted to our flavors, and we don't have that. Okay, from this perspective of quality-wise, I think we're perfect. But then the fact is that when you love something, you love the brand. Yeah? You love what's the purpose of the brand. And I think I told you a little bit about that. The fact that we're a family business, everybody knows my grandfather, so everybody sends him emails asking for jobs, for help, for whatever. So he's really a human being. So, I mean, Delta is not just a logo. There's people behind the brand, yeah, and I know who they are, and so and most of the people respect the way we do business, okay, and I guess that's the important part. If our values are correct, and I mean, if we do what we say, which is really important, it's not just to tell, okay, I'm a really nice guy and I'm gonna give away. So we don't do it just because of social responsibility, because we look all the stakeholders, our customers, as I told you before, our employees, the community where we stand, the fact that we're close to the people, the customers. I mean, in my page of Facebook, I receive emails from customers saying I was not treated so well. When people, when they need to say something is not good, they know where to go, and they know that we're going to solve the problems, and they know that we're going to help, because I mean, it's a human company. It's not just a logo. And I think that makes a difference. This is my opinion, and that's what my grandfather did in the past, and that's what we've been doing in the last years. I mean, we have human faces, we have human people, and we do things the human way. And I think that people like it. People feel safe about that.
When I told people that I work with that we were doing this interview, they were so excited. They thought, wow, you know, because there is this, and it's not just because, oh, it's this big brand, but they talk about your grandfather, and they talk about the family and the story behind the business, which is, and they all just say such beautiful things. So it's a wonderful legacy that you and your family have created, Rui. So congratulations. It's a beautiful thing to see from an outside perspective. It's a wonderful thing. Obviously the quality is good. You can't serve bad coffee in Portugal. You will have we'll have big problems in the streets if you serve bad coffee.
Sure.
But there's a culture of coffee here. There's a culture of, like I mentioned, taking that time. Describe your perfect coffee drinking experience to our listeners.
Well, definitely a perfect coffee experience is a Delta coffee espresso. Okay, that's the perfect experience. But I think there's one point that we should emphasize is that 95% of the coffee consumption in Portugal is espresso. Okay.
Wow.
Portuguese drink espresso. When you go out and if you ask for a coffee, I mean, if you're coming from, the UK or France or whatever, and you say, I want a coffee, what's going to be served is a short espresso coffee. This is a coffee in Portugal. And people drink espresso, pure espresso, most of the time. And that's what people love. So in espresso, the blending is really important. Okay, so if you need to have a body, and the body comes from Robusta coffee. I mean, everybody say 100% Arabica, as if Robusta was not a good coffee. If you know how to treat coffee, you know that in order to do good espresso, you need to put some Robusta, because Robusta gives you the body, and then the aroma and the flavor of the coffee comes from the Arabica, from the Central American coffees and from the Brazilian coffees. And that's how you do it. It's a good blending. Also, the fact that, as I told you, the roasting process, it's like cooking, doing coffee, it's the same, because you're roasting, you're putting high temperatures, and it's food that you're actually gonna ingest. And that's what happens if you don't cook it well. If you overcook it with temperature, for example, it's excessive roasted. It feels like the flavor of burnt coffee, and it's not good. Yeah, it's like sour coffee. So you need a softer and sweeter coffee. And in espresso, everything comes out. All kinds of defects. What you do with coffee in espresso coffee, it will come out, all the kind of defects in coffee. That's why you need to do a very good coffee and being expert in order to do espresso. And the Portuguese love espresso coffee. So that's why it's so difficult for Portuguese people when you go abroad and you don't have this kind of coffee. Yeah. So it's harder to live without this kind of espresso, because most of the countries don't drink pure espresso coffee, and they're not even ready. You go to some places that they don't even have an espresso coffee machine. Yeah. So I think that the coffee is really important, and for the Portuguese, the story about coffee, the fact that you lived around coffee, it was the Portuguese that introduced coffee in Brazil. For example, they stole it from the French Guiana and introduced, because understood that it was a valuable product. And Brazil, it's a huge country with great conditions to work the coffee, and so the Portuguese introduced the coffee in Brazil, and actually in Angola. And Angola was the second biggest world producer of coffee, and Brazil is number one since ever it was. So there's a huge relation with coffee. And of course, during the 18th century, of course, a lot of coffee shops opened. So most traditional coffees in Portugal, always with espresso. If you see like Fernando Pessoa, who's the best well-known writer, he's always in these coffee places writing his poems. He's always with an espresso coffee around, taking his own coffee. So there's this big relation in history, the importance that the Portuguese had building up the coffee around the world. I don't know if you know it, but coffee is the second world biggest commodity traded in the world, just after the oil.
The second biggest commodity.
Yes, just
after gold.
Just after the oil. Okay. So it's a really important product that a lot of the world consumes, every day, every minute, more than 3,000 cups of coffee. Actually, every second, 3,000 cups of coffee are consumed in the world. So it's a really important commodity. And the second also drink that you have. The first one is water. You drink more water than coffee, but after water, it's coffee. Yeah. So it's a really important commodity, and I think that's this relation between the Portuguese and the fact that Portugal introduced a lot of important production sites around the world, like Angola. Angola doesn't produce anymore, which is a shame. They had an excellent coffee, and the civil war in Angola destroy all the crops, so they're starting to restart now. But Brazil still is number one, and great coffee from all over the world. So this is a big relation, and that's why I think that the Portuguese are so exquisite about coffee. It's not a perfect espresso, they'll complain and they'll say, well, what I miss the most when I'm out of Portugal, it's coffee, which is good actually for us and for our business.
I miss it when I go to London or to the Netherlands or places like that. The first thing I have to do when I get back is drink a proper coffee, even if it's at the petrol station on the side of the motorway.
Educated as a Portuguese.
Yeah, but tell me, Rui, one of the things that a couple of my colleagues, obviously working in a Portuguese company, having Portuguese friends, family, Portuguese wife, Portuguese colleagues, one of the things that they tell me as well is the machine is important, the actual machine that is used in the cafe. So how does that make a difference?
Of course, you need to do the perfect espresso, you need pressure. I mean, you need good pressure on the machine. You need a good grinder, because the grinding is really important. If you grind it too much, it's too small, the coffee is gonna come out burned, because it's small spaces between the not the beans anymore, but small parts of the coffee that can come out. So the pressure is high, the temperature is really high. It's gonna burn the coffee. But if you grind it with the bigger pieces, it's gonna come out more water, because it's not gonna take out as much. So I think that roasting, grinding, and temperature and pressure are the most important things to do a perfect espresso. This is all the steps that you need to do. And so it's difficult. You just drink something and you say it's good or it's bad, but it's a huge process that you have to come through just to have this small cup of coffee. Yeah.
It's very technical for such a small cup, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
What cake or pastry do you like to eat with your coffee?
Oh, pastel de nata. I think I'm really Portuguese in that. I'm not going to say something just to say it. Pastel de nata, it's the perfect pastry to drink with an espresso coffee. Now you have smaller ones, so if you don't want to eat the big one, the pastéis de Belém ones, but pastel de nata is most definitely what you need to eat with while you're drinking the coffee.
And I don't. Why would you go for the small one anyway? You know, you've got to have the big
And
one.
I don't actually. I know,
Exactly.
in case anybody thinks about that.
Exactly. Rui, we've been speaking about the experience of drinking coffee. I mean, I tell my clients and family members overseas that in every Portuguese village, you'll always find a church and you'll find a cafe. And I live in a very small village, and we have a great cafe. But one of the things that you've got the logo behind you there, Delta Q, is the capsules, and it's something that Delta has really innovated and grown, an area that has grown. But there was a story behind Delta Q with you and your grandfather, wasn't there?
Well, yeah, there's a nice story about that, actually the capsules from my career inside the company was really important because it was my first big solo project where I decided to move ahead. And the story is simple. Not all the stories are success stories. Okay. And when the capsules came out, we're not the first one. So I think we all know who's the first one to bring this trend into the market was. But what actually happened is that this trend came out, and the fact that you had to buy a coffee machine and you got fidelized to that system. So you're inside of the system. You can only buy those capsules to fit in your machine. So when we did some study and the customer said, oh, I don't want to be locked down in the system. I want an open system. So we created what we called gourmet with the pods. So there are hard pods for espresso and soft pods. You do it with all kinds of other coffees. So it's an open system. We did a good launch. We did a huge investment in that and say, no, we're working on the open system. We're not going to go there. And it was a flop because actually what the consumer was saying was, I don't want, but at the end they were going into the locked systems because the machines are more fancy and they were cheaper. So actually that's what happened. And the nice story that I think you want me to tell is the trigger when we decided I'm going to abandon all that project and it's a flop and move into our own system and create our capsules. And it happened in the Martinho da Arcada, which is a restaurant and cafe right in the middle of Lisbon. It's also the place where Fernando Pessoa, as I told you before, he was all the times over there drinking his coffee and writing his poems. So it's an historical restaurant, and it was the 150th anniversary. And me and my granddad, we were invited to the launch. In this launch also was the president of the Republic of Portugal, so really important launch. And during that launch, I was with my grandfather side by side, and all around the table, everybody was saying, oh, you've seen Senor Rui, that's how they call him, Senor Rui, a lot of capsules, it's so interesting, you put in it, why does Delta doesn't have it, you should have it. Well, all launched. When we got inside the car, so he was really frustrated, and then he started punching ahead in the car and saying, we need to have something like that, we need to have something like that, people are complaining with us, why don't we have it? So and that was the trigger for me, and I said, well, I mean, we have to do something. So and I started looking with our partners, how could we have our own system and create our own system? And in 9 months, we were launching Delta Q. We abandoned the other project. We said it's a flop. It didn't work. People don't want this. So we launched our own machine. We started selling our own machine, our own capsules, and we launched. And today we're market leaders in Portugal. So this happened 15 years ago, and it's I mean, it was really a changing moment for us, and a really important moment. It was like a wake-up call. So all the launch people were saying, Senor Rui, you don't have it, you don't have it, you don't have it. You're a market leader, but you don't have it. You're going to lose it. He was really, really angry. And it's a changing moment over there. I'll never forget that.
Well, please, if you speak, I'm sure you'll speak to your grandfather today, and to you as well. I want to say thank you, because we obviously love going for our coffee at the cafe, but obviously during Corona and we haven't been able to go to the cafe as much as we want, and we have Delta Q in our home, and it's saved our lives, because I think if we didn't have Delta Q in my home, we would have had some deaths, but not because of COVID. So
because of coffee absence.
because of coffee, because of a lack of coffee, good coffee. So please thank your grandfather for me and for my wife and for my children, because I think they are
because of that.
Exactly. Rui, one of the things that you went overseas a little bit before you sort of rejoined Delta. You were in Spain, you were in Italy. What did you miss about home when you were in those places?
The coffee, definitely. I couldn't drink the coffee that we drink here. Of course, in Italy you can do it. Okay, it's closer to our way of life, but it was the coffee. But I think most, of course, the coffee is important, but the people. I mean, once you live here and you feel like this family, this way, you go out in the street and you just ask for guidance for something, everybody will help you. And if they're not occupied, they'll drive you to the place where you need to go. And this is something that happens here. I mean, people don't just look to the other way and move away. I think this simplicity of living, the fact that, I mean, I've lived my whole life, just the 2 to 3 years that I was in Campo Mayor after when I started working. When I came back, I went to Campo Mayor. Even though I live in Lisbon is not a city that it's confusing, it's difficult to engage, to live on. I mean, it's easy, it's simple. I love it here. I mean, it's hard to explain sometimes. You need to come by and understand what I'm saying, but it's simple. Everything happens in a very smooth and soft way, but engaging at the same time.
Yes.
I don't know if I answer your question.
100%. Yeah. I feel the same way, having lived here now, and it's home for me now. It's the same thing. Rui, we're coming up to near the end, and obviously people know how to find Delta and to find you online. There's a Facebook page. There's the Delta Facebook page, which I believe today has got more than 175,000 likes. That's amazing. But what are you excited about going forward for the future with Delta and the business?
Well, I think that we're living a period which is always hard to look at the future, but we need to. I mean, we cannot stall and stand put where we are. And actually, I'm doing this interview in our innovation center, which is a perfect way to answer to your question, because we really try to engage our customers with a lot of innovation. And also one of the good ways also to keep our employees and our staff and our community involved is that we have a really innovative way to approach things. We have a good platform. We don't do innovation only here where I'm standing. We do innovation across all the company, because this is the place where we boost the innovation culture. So we have a lot of new products, new categories, new things going on. We're an open company. We've just launched a partnership with a startup. They're a German couple who came to live in Portugal because they loved Portugal. And they understand that in Portugal there was not a soda culture like in Germany. So they did a study. There was this good opportunity to launch this soda. It's called Why Not. It's all with organic products made. So
Wow.
it's a craft soda. I think that launching products that the community can approach, launching products really connected to the health is really important. We've presented our compostable capsule, which is a really important thing to do. We've presented coffee that has through a partnership with a laboratory for bones and for memory, boosted with medicine. I think I can say that because it's rated in the Infarmed, which is the place
Wow.
where all medicines are in. We've just presented also a sweet coffee that you can drink for people who usually put sugar on. So you drink the coffee, the flavor is the same, but without sugar, which is really important and innovative process. I mean, health is our point. We're really focused on bringing innovation into the fact that we need, and I think that we were doing this last year. These were products that were presented last year, so we're delayed on the launch. But I think more than ever, this is the big thing. This is what we need to do, and this must be the positioning for companies now. Focus on the employees' health and the community health.
Yeah.
Health is really the way to innovate, and that's what we're looking for. Launching a lot of nice products around that subject.
Well, I think it's an important thing in today's culture, and we're not hearing it being spoken about you know, when you hear on the news and in Parliament, and I don't need you to comment politically, Rui, but you're not hearing enough about. You're hearing all about COVID and that it's this and that and there's these infections, but no one's saying look after your body and look after what you put and be careful with what you put inside your body. So I think it is something that that we have to be responsible for.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And the companies have this role as well to engage with healthier products and to do their part in this process. And that's what we're hoping for. I mean, it's really interesting because we've just created this coffee. You know, 40% of people in Portugal who drink coffee put sugar in it. It's a 5-gram sugar. If you drink 3 or 4 coffees, you do the math as how much sugar you're putting in just for coffee. Yeah. So what we did, we do a lot of testings, and we came out with an excellent formula, which is there's a product in Algarve called alfarroba. I don't know if you know it, which is trending now a lot. And what we put is some alfarroba, which gives it the sweet flavor on the coffee. It's most like if you've just put in sugar. And alfarroba is a natural product. And it doesn't have the problems that that the sugar has, because it doesn't have sugar at all. So it's an interesting formula, and I'm really thinking this is going to be very successful, because I mean, health is a problem, and I think we all need to worry about our own health and the health of the people around us.
My wife is going to love those, so I need to get on top of that immediately. Rui, just 3 things that people can remember from this conversation, that people can take away from this conversation.
Well, I think that the first one is that you drink excellent coffee in Portugal, and we have a culture around coffee, not just the coffee place, but the drink on itself. I think that's the first thing you need to remember from our chat. The second one, I think we're kind of a reliable country, and you can rely it. People are simple in the way they do things, that we don't disguise things, and I think that Portuguese are kind of reliable. I mean, we have our own exceptions, but we're reliable. And I think that the third part is that we're happy. I mean, we're a safe and quiet country. and we're happy the way we do things. And I think that this is the message. I mean, happiness is so important. It's not something that you achieve in the future. You need to do it every day. So it's the way we do things that makes us so spontaneously happy.
And I'm going to add a fourth one, if you don't mind. Can I? For everyone coming to Portugal, please drink Delta. That's the logo. Don't drink the stuff that starts with the letter N. Drink
Delta is
drink
good.
Delta.
Yeah.
Drink Delta. Rui, thank you so much. I've loved this conversation. It's been an honor and a pleasure to speak to you. We have one more question that I'd like to ask you. Portugal, the simple life. Why?
I think, as I told you before, we are a peaceful country. Everything comes out really, really smoothly, and we have a community spirit over here. And because of that, everything is so much easier, so less complex, and it makes you very simple to do wherever you need. And I think that a short answer is good, yeah?
It's good. Short and sweet. Like an espresso.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Rui, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And I'm going to let you call it.
Well, thank you first, and that's a wrap.
Thank you once again to Rui, and thank you to all of you for listening. Please subscribe, share with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and please leave a comment or a review. We'd love to hear from you. And as you say in Portugal, te próxima. Welcome to the simple life.